So welcome. In today's session, we'll focus on the flexor compartment of the forearm, also known as the anterior compartment of the forearm. Now, under it, we will look at the muscles. The muscles are divided into two groups, superficial and deep muscles. By the end of this session, you should know the origin, insertion, action, and innervation, at least of each muscle. Welcome all. My name is Wallace Munyeri, and I'm the Yuga Daktari. Now, first let's look at the fascial compartments of the forearm. Now, the forearm is enclosed by the antebrachial fascia. Now, let me take this pointer. Now, the antebrachial fascia is attached to the posterior subcutaneous border of the ulna, and from the deep surface of the antebrachial fascia, septa pass between the muscles, and some of the septa reach the bone. Now, this antebrachial fascia, together with the interosseous membrane and the fibrous intermuscular septa, divide the forearm into several compartments, each compartment having its own muscles, nerves, and blood supply. Now, classically, the forearm is divided into two compartments: anterior compartment or the flexor compartment, and the posterior compartment or the extensor compartment. Now, let's look at the anterior compartment of the forearm. Now, also known as the flexor compartment. Now, the flexor muscles of the forearm are arranged in two groups, superficial and deep. Now, the five muscles, we have 5 muscles in the superficial group and 3 muscles in the deep group, a total of 8. Now, the 5 muscles of the superficial group do not, the 5 muscles of the superficial group cross the elbow joint, okay? But the 3 muscles of the deep group do not cross the elbow joint. That is the difference. Now, the flexor compartment is much more bulky than the extensor, because it is the flexor compartment that produces the necessary power of the grip. Now, superficial muscles of the front of the arm. This group consists of the 5 muscles. Now, from lateral to medial, these are pronator teres, flexor capillaris, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, and the flexor capi ulnaris. Now, superficial muscles. Now, these 5 muscles are distinguished by the fact that they possess a common origin from the anterior surface of the medial epicondyle of the humerus. Now, 3 out of the 5 have additional areas of origin. Now, the common origin is attached to a smooth area on the anterior surface of the medial epicondyle. Now, this is how I remember these muscles. Now, press the heel of your hand, okay, over the opposite medial epicondyle, okay? Then, with your fingers pressed together, okay, the palm should lie on the forearm. Now, the digits point down along the 5 superficial muscles. The thumb will lie on pronator teres. The index finger will lie on your flexor capillaris. Your middle finger will lie on flexor digitorum superficialis. The ring finger on palmaris longus, and the little finger on flexor capi ulnaris. Now, this is what I'm saying. If you place the heel of your hand here with the palm facing the forearm, the thumb will lie there, index finger there, the middle finger, ring finger, and the little finger, like that. The same here. This is your pronator teres. You can see it is forming the medial border of cubital fossa. Then you can see this muscle here is a very long tendon. That is your flexor capillaris. Then this muscle here, this one, is the flexor digitorum superficialis. Then this muscle is the palmaris longus. It's absent in some people. And this is your flexor capi ulnaris muscle. Now, let's start with pronator teres. It arises from the common origin and from the lower part of the medial supracondylar ridge. Now, the main superficial belly, or the humeral belly, is joined by a small deep head or the ulnar head, which arises from the medial border of the coronary process of ulna, just distal to the sublime tubercle. Okay. Now, the muscle forming the medial border of cubital fossa runs distally across the front of the forearm to be inserted by a flat tendon. Is inserted by a flat tendon into the middle of the lateral surface of the shaft of radius, and where there is a most prominent outward convexity. Okay, that is the insertion of the pronator muscle. It is supplied by the first branch of median nerve. Okay, and as the name suggests, the muscle pronates the forearm, and it is also a weak flexor of the elbow. Okay, here you can see the origin. The humeral head originates from the medial epicondyle, then the deep head from the medial margin of the coronary process to be inserted here, the middle 1/3 of the lateral surface of the radius. Okay, and you can see here, this is the median nerve, and you can see the first branch. This is the pronator teres forming the medial border of the cubital fossa. Now, flexor capillarialis, it originates from the common origin. Then the fleshy belly usually give way in the middle of the forearm, a long tendon. It has a very long tendon, which runs through its own compartment in the carpal tunnel. Then line in the groove of trapezium. This is the one of the carpal bones. Then it is inserted into the base of the second and third metacarpals. That is symmetrically with the extensor capillarialis longus and extensor capillarialis brevis. It is supplied by the median nerve. It is a flexor of the wrist. It is also a radial abductor of the wrist, it is responsible for radial deviation. It is also an important stabilizer of the wrist in finger and thumb movements. Okay, here is the muscle origin here. Common origin, you can see it has a very long tendon. Here it is to be inserted into the second and the third metacarpals. Here it is. Okay, it is. You can see the long tendon. Now, flexor digitorum superficialis, formerly known as flexor digitorum sublimis. Now, the flexor digitorum superficialis is the largest muscle of the superficial group of muscles. Actually speaking, it forms the intermediate muscle layer between the superficial and deep groups of the forearm muscles. Okay, so you find some text saying that the anterior compartment has three groups: superficial group, intermediate group, and deep group, with the flexor digitorum superficialis forming the intermediate group. Now, it has two heads of origin: a humeral ulnar head arising from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, the sublime tubercle, that is why it was initially known as flexor digitorum sublimis, on the medial margin of the coronary process of ulna, and from the ulnar collateral ligament of the elbow joint. Its radial head originates from the anterior oblique line of radius, which extends from the radial tuberosity to the insertion of pronator teres muscle. Okay, it is inserted into the middle phalanges of the medial four fingers, that is the index finger, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the little finger. It is supplied by the median nerve only. It flexes the proximal interphalangeal joint of the medial four digits, and it also helps in flexion of the also flexes the proximal phalanges and the wrist joint. Here it is. You can see the humeral ulnar head origins, these three origins, also the radial head from the anterior oblique line of radius, then to be inserted into the middle phalanges of the medial four fingers. Then, as the tendons pass the carpal tunnel, they are usually arranged in a specific way, such that the tendon to the middle finger and the ring finger lie superior to the tendons to the index finger and the little finger. Okay, That is how the tendons are arranged in the carpal tunnel. Here is the muscle. You can see. In fact, it has here the tendinous arch joining the humeral head to the radial head. And you can see the medial nerve is passing posterior or deep to that tendinous arch. Now, palmaris longus muscle. The muscle arises from the common origin, that is the anterior surface of the medial epicondyle. It is absent either unilaterally or bilaterally in 13% of the population. Its long flat tendon broadens as it passes in front of the flexor retinaculum, which it is partly adherent to. In the palm, it usually splits to form longitudinally directed fibers of palmar aponeurosis. So it is inserted into the palmar aponeurosis. The tendon lies in front of the median nerve, just above the wrist. So it is not a content of the carpal tunnel, but it lies to median nerve. It lies superior to median nerve in the carpal tunnel. The median nerve is the one in the carpal tunnel, but the tendon of palmaris longus is not in the carpal tunnel. It is innervated by the median nerve. It is a weak flex of the wrist and also anchors the skin and the fascia of the hand against the shearing forces in a distal direction. The tendon, its tendon is important in transplant procedures. This muscle is synonymous to, is synonymous to the freshman's nerve. When I say the freshman's nerve, I mean the plantaris muscle of the leg. Here is the muscle shown you here. You can see it's inserting into this palmar aponeurosis. Here it is. Okay, here it is. Is absent unilaterally or bilaterally in 13% of the population. And if you want to, let me go back, if you want to know if you have the muscle, you pinch your little finger and your thumb, then you flex your wrist. You will see, if you see a very prominent tendon at the wrist level, that is the tendon of palmaris longus muscle. If absent, don't worry, you are among the 13%. Now, flexor carpi ulnaris as the last muscle of the superficial group. The muscle arises from the common origin and by a wide aponeurosis from the medial border of the auriclanon and the upper 2/3 of the subcutaneous border of ulna. Ulnar nerve passes under the tendinous arch between the humeral and ulnar heads of this muscle to enter the flexor compartment of the forearm, and that is a potential site for nerve entrapment, of ulnar nerve entrapment, where the ulnar nerve and artery are overlapped by the muscle. Now, at the wrist, the tendon of this muscle is medial to the nerve and the artery. So you will start with the tendon, flexor carpi ulnaris tendon, then the ulnar nerve, then the ulnar artery. That is how they are arranged at the wrist. Now, the tendon usually insert into the pisiform bone. Remember, pisiform is a sesamoid bone. And by the way of pisohamate and the pisometacarpal ligaments, or pisohamate and pisometacarpal tendons, is inserted into the hamate and the fifth metacarpal bones. Now, nerve supplied by the ulnar nerve. You can see all the other muscles of the superficial group are innervated by medial nerve. This is the only one in the superficial group innervated by ulnar nerve. Its action is, it is a flexor of the wrist joint, also ulnar adductor, that is ulnar deviation of the wrist. Now, in radial nerve paralysis, its tendon can be transplanted. It can be transplanted to extend the fingers or the thumb. Now, yeah, here is the muscle here. Okay, you can see here at the wrist is the most medial. You start with the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris, then the ulnar nerve, then ulnar artery. Okay, inserted to pisiform bone. Then, by the way of pisohamate and pisometacarpal ligaments, it is inserted into the hamate and the fifth metacarpals. Here it is. Here is the ulnar artery. Then here is the pisiform. Okay. Now, deep muscles of the front of the arm. There are three of them: flexor pollicis longus, a unipinate muscle, flexor digitorum profundus, and pronator quadratus. Now, flexor digitorum profundus is the most powerful and the bulkiest forearm muscle. It arises by fleshy. Remember, the deep muscles do not close the elbow joint. It arises by fleshy fibers from the medial surface of orecranon and from the upper 3/4 of the anterior and medial surfaces of ulna, including the subcutaneous border of ulna, and from the interosseous membrane. Now, the tendon of the index finger usually separate in the forearm, but the other three tendons, that is the tendon to middle finger, ring finger, and the small finger, are attached to each other as they pass through the carpal tunnel, okay, and do not become detached from each other until they reach the palm, okay. Now, in the palm, they give these tendons usually give origin to the lumbricus, and they are inserted into the distal phalanges of the medial 4 digits. Now, it is supplied by the anterior interosseous nerve, a branch from medial nerve, and the ulnar nerve. Okay, so its medial half is innervated by the ulnar nerve, and its lateral half by the medial nerve via the anterior interosseous branch. Now you should know this: the lumbricus, the innervation of the lumbricus corresponds to the innervation of their respective bellies. Now, since the medial half is innervated by ulnar nerve, okay, is innervated by ulnar nerve, so the third and fourth lumbricus are also innervated by ulnar nerve. The lateral half or the radial half of the muscle is innervated by the medial nerve via the anterior interosseous branch. The first and the second lumbricus are innervated by the medial nerve. Please note that. It flexes the distal interphalangeal joints of the medial 4 digits, and also helps in the flexion of the wrist joint. Now, is the muscle. You can see it. Okay. Here's the muscle here. Sorry, not this. This is flexor digitorum superficialis. Then after cutting it deep to it, there is the muscle. You see it does not close the elbow joint. Okay, here it is here. Now, flexor pollicis longus. This muscle arises from the anterior surface of the radius below the anterior oblique line. Remember, and the anterior oblique line and above the insertion of pronator quadratus muscle, and from the interosseous membrane. The tendon of this muscle usually form on the medial or the ulnar side of this unipinate muscle, and it receives fleshy fibers on its radial side down to just above the wrist. It is a unipinate muscle, and that is a identification feature of the muscle. The tendon passes in the carpal tunnel deep to the heart of flexor carpi radialis, then spirals around the ulnar side of the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris to become superficial, and it extends into the thumb to be inserted into the distal phalanx. It is innervated by the anterior interosseous branch of medial nerve. It is the only flexor of the interphalangeal joint of the thumb, and also flexes the metacarpophalangeal and the carpometacarpal joints of the thumb and the wrist joint. So flexes the wrist joint. You can see it is a unipinate muscle. This muscle, you can see the tendon is forming on its ulnar side. Then fleshy fibers are being inserted on the radial side of this tendon. Okay. Here it is. You can see the tendon is on the ulnar side, unipinate. Okay. Inserted into the distal phalanx. It will extend this joint, this one. It will extend the interphalangeal joint here. Then extend this joint, the metacarpophalangeal, and also this one, carpometacarpal joint of the thumb. Now, the last one, pronator quadratus, arises from the ridge a region, the anteromedial aspect of the distal ulna. It is to be inserted into the anterior surface of the lower fourth of radius and into the a triangular area above the ulnar notch, supplied by the anterior interosseous branch of median nerve. Okay, as the name suggests, it pronates the forearm and helps to hold the lower ends of the radius and ulna together, especially when the hand is weight bearing. As a pronator, it is more powerful than pronator teres. Okay, so it is known as pronator quadratus. So because it is quadrate in shape, here is the muscle. You can see it is four-sided. This is from the anteromedial region on the ulna. On the, yes, be inserted into the anterior surface of the lower fourth of radius. Yeah, this is the radius. Yeah, anteromedial region ulna and onto the anterior surface of the lower quarter of ulna radius. That is the insertion. It pronates the forearm, and it is stronger than pronator teres in terms of pronation of the forearm. So finally, we are done. And thank you for your attention, guys. And please subscribe for more anatomy and biochemistry content. Thank you.